Welcome back to Inglés 4.0, the radio show. Let's go! Advanced.
All right, yes, advanced. It is time now for Advanced Class 66. 66. What do we know about the number 66? Yeah. Well, 66 is the number of one of my favorite hockey players of all time. Number 66, Mario Lemieux. They call him Le Magnifique because, well, Lemieux is a great name, French-Canadian name, and Lemieux is essentially the best. Lemieux. But he was arguably, well, he was one of the best players ever. Number 66, he played for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he had back problems, and he had to retire early. And then he came back. He returned to the league, and he developed cancer, Hodgkin's disease. And he came back, and he retired, and he bought the team, the Pittsburgh Penguins. He bought the team. He was the owner, and the team was losing money. And he said, the only way for me to make this team profitable again is if I return and return to and become the best player in the league again and win the scoring championship. And he did. After defeating cancer and back problems, he came back and was the best player in the league, and the team became profitable again. And then he retired, and he still owns the team, or half of the team now, I think, and the team is doing very well now, and they won the Stanley Cup, which is the ultimate prize for ice hockey in North America, and they won that cup last year, and so he was very happy as an owner. Anyway, that's number 66, Le Magnifique, Mario Lemieux, one of my favorite players ever. Great. And I recommend, if you're interested in ice hockey, if you find it interesting, if you go to YouTube and you put the name Mario Lemieux, Lemieux, you can find some videos of him there. And you'll see some great clips of one of the greatest players ever and one of my favorites. Okay, so are you waiting for me to start? You say, Kyle, stop talking about hockey. We're waiting for you to start. We can't wait any longer. We're waiting for you to review the grammar from Class 66. Come on, Kyle. Hurry up. Hurry up. Date prisa. Hurry up. Because we're waiting for you to start. We're waiting for you to review this grammar. Okay? Are you waiting for me? Me estás esperando. Are you waiting for me to do something? Are you waiting for me to explain something new? Because this is the verb esperar. This is the point. To wait for something. Essentially to be idle, which is parado, in a sense of waiting, of desire for something that is going to happen. Yes. Now, idle is like a car at an intersection. When the engine is running, the engine is running, but the car is not moving because the car is in neutral. It's in the neutral gear, and you have to put in gear, ponerse en marcha, to put the car in gear before you can drive away. But if the engine is running, but the car is not moving, then the engine is idling. It's running, but you're not going anywhere. So essentially if you're waiting for something, this is my definition, to be idle in a sense of expectation of something happening, something desirable happening, waiting for. Now, have you been waiting? Have you been waiting for translation list number 11? Have you been waiting for me to review it? Because yesterday, we didn't do any of it yesterday. And I know I got so excited about other things. We had such an interesting class that we didn't have time for translation list number 11. So I said, don't worry, because we will spend plenty of time reviewing list number 11 here in Class 66. So let's do it.
Translation.
Yes, translation. Absolutely right. It's time for translation list number 11. The first one here, number 1. Esto no está al día. No está al día. This isn't up to date. Up to date. Al día. To be up to date. To be al día, to be up to date. Yeah, I'm up to date with the programs. I have to stay up to date with these shows. It's true. Tenemos que actualizar las cifras. Now, I'm leaving some space here. I'm leaving some time for you to say the sentence, right? Okay, we have to update the figures. We have to update the figures. Would you like some music between? Would that be good? A little bit of music? Tenemos que actualizar las cifras. We have to update the figures. Number 3. El restaurante estaba tan lleno que fuimos a otro. The restaurant was so crowded. Tan lleno. It was so crowded that we went to another. We could also say that we went to another one. It was so crowded. It was completely crowded. Abarrotado. No, it was crowded. It was packed. The restaurant was so crowded that we went to another one. Yes. Number 4. Por mucho que le hables, no le veas a convencer. No matter how much you talk to him, you're not going to convince him. No matter how much. No matter. Por mucho que, no matter how much. That's a good structure. No matter how much you talk to him, you're not going to convince him. So stop trying. Don't try to convince him, because no matter how much you talk to him, you're not going to convince him. Okay? Number 5. Ingresé en la empresa a mediados de los 60. Oh, and this is a structure we recently practiced. I joined the company in the mid-60s. In the mid-60s. I think it was an intermediate class the other day. I was talking about Bruce Springsteen. And I thought that Bruce Springsteen started in the early 80s, but I was wrong. We have the early 80s, the mid-80s, and the late 80s. He started in the early 70s. I think it was 1973. He first signed a record deal with Columbia Records in the early to mid 70s. But he became popular, I would say mainstream popular, in the mid to late 70s. And then by the 80s, he was the boss. Yes, Bruce Springsteen. But I joined the company. Ingresé en la empresa a mediados de los 60. I joined the company in the mid-60s. Me casé con ella a finales de los 50. I married her in the late 50s. I married her in the late 50s. Yes. Me jubilé a principios de los 80. I retired in the early 80s. I retired in the early 80s. Hasta ahora pareces tener las cosas bajo control. So far, you seem to have things under control. So far, you seem to have things under control. Pareces tener las cosas bajo control. You seem to have things under control. Now make sure you close your lips on that sound. Seem to have things under control. Well, so far, you seem to have things under control. Number 9. Es cómodo tener una farmacia justo a la vuelta de la esquina. It's convenient having a pharmacy just around the corner. It's convenient having a pharmacy just around the corner. Yes, it is. It's convenient having a pharmacy just around the corner. Pharmacy. Pharmacy. A pharmacy. Una farmacia. Just around the corner. Number 10. El paro ha bajado 2 puntos en 3 meses. En voz alta. Very good. Unemployment has gone down. Ha bajado, has gone down by 2 points in 3 months. Unemployment has gone down by 2 points in 3 months. Number 11. Tenemos muy pocas cosas en común. We have very few things in common. It's true. We have very few things in common. Ni siquiera sé cómo se llaman. I don't even know. Ni siquiera. I don't even know what their names are. I don't even know what their names are. All right. There we go. That was translation list number 11. How did you do? Did you get all 12 right? I know we were reviewing theoretically, but we didn't cover it in class yesterday. So if you struggled, well, it's because they're getting harder. They're getting tougher every day. But make sure you're making an effort and listening carefully as we review those, because you can learn a lot from those lists. All right? Let's move on.
Expression of the day.
Yes, it is time for the expression of the day. Our expression of the day today is a dime a dozen. A dime a dozen. Right? A dime. Now, a dime, D-I-M-E, como dime, but dime. Dime is a 10-cent coin in the United States and in Canada. It's a 10-cent coin. A dime. And a dozen is una docena. A dozen. So they only cost, if you say it's a dime a dozen, or they are a dime a dozen, you're essentially saying that it costs 10 cents. For 10 cents, you can get 12 of them. In other words, it's very, very cheap. In other words, they're easy to get. So we're not really talking about the price. We're just saying that something is very plentiful, abundant, easy to acquire. Yes. For example, English teacher. There are a lot of English teachers in Spain, but finding a good English teacher can be a bit tricky. Right? And for me to find but Spanish teacher, well, finding someone to have a Spanish conversation with, conversation partners are a dime a dozen in Spain because everybody speaks Spanish. So it's easy for me to find someone to speak Spanish with. They're a dime a dozen. Yes. So something that is plentiful is a dime a dozen. Abundant. Plentiful. Not hard to find. They're a dime a dozen. Yes. In my country, tiles, azulejos, tiles are very expensive and very hard to find because in Canada we don't really produce, I don't think we produce tiles. But in Spain, tiles are a dime a dozen. I'm not actually saying that tiles are that cheap, but I'm saying that they're very plentiful. And compared to other countries like Canada, they're much cheaper. So I could say they're a dime a dozen over here. Yes, a dime a dozen. Yes. All right, now we can move on, finally getting into the new material here in Class 66. And with expect. So to expect something. Do you expect he'll be late? Yes, I expect he'll be late. I expect he'll be late. Are you expecting a baby? ¿Estás esperando un niño? Un bebé? Are you expecting a baby? Yes, I'm expecting a baby. Grammatically, let's say. I'm not expecting a baby, but to be expecting a baby. So remember, expect is an assessment of probability, and we believe that it's probably going to happen. I said before, I hope to win the lottery, but I don't expect to win the lottery. I am not expecting to win the lottery. Okay? Okay. So to expect means you believe something is going to happen based on the probability of occurrence. To expect. Okay.
Vocabulary of the day.
All right, it's time for the vocabulary of the day. Our first word of vocabulary today is nido. Nido, which is nest. Birds live in nests. Birds live in nests. One nest, two nests. De mente abierta. Open-minded. Open-minded. Agotado. Sin existencias. Out of stock. Out of stock. Out of stock. Yes. Superpoblado. Oof, like Shanghai. That place is overpopulated. Overpopulated. Jersey. Pullover. I'm wearing a pullover. I'm not wearing a pullover now, but I sometimes wear pullovers. Now, I knew it was bound to happen. We were bound to run out of time, to be bound to. We have this structure, to be bound to. So it's almost like a sure thing. We were bound to run out of time, and we have this structure, to be bound to, which we will talk about tomorrow. So we will finish there, but I'll be back tomorrow at the same time, same place, 87.9 FM, same place, same time tomorrow. I'll see you there. Bye-bye.